Brodes Media.
Well, you know what? Hold on. I'm trying to keep it in. Man.
I'm sorry, man.
Take a
No, it's
moment.
cool.
Take a moment,
Cool,
Brandon.
man.
Take a
Man.
moment, man.
Hey, and I know I needed it, but boy, I just love what we've been building, and I just don't want to. I know I ain't letting nobody down as far as getting hurt and stuff, because I know I'm gonna bring that energy.
Brandon, let me jump in for 1 second. You're not letting anybody down.
I know.
You're not letting the city down. Your teammates.
I know. I'm just
Nobody.
saying, like I'm
Don't
being.
even
I'm not
let
even
it
being
cross your mind.
I got you, because I promise you, I'm just more hurt of just on how we've been coming every week, trying to defy, the odds and being with it, but being with them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be with them. I'm still with them. You know what I'm saying? I know that. But yeah, man, I just needed this right here. I needed to get this out. It's been a while since I cried, man. I'm just, hurting a little bit, because man, I just would, for the 15 years, I've been here and people doubt me. This was a big one for me, and I think I accomplished a lot this year. And man, if that just one little thing, but I know it's God's plan, man, and I'm trusting that, and so that's where I'm at. And but I needed this, man. I needed this in a big way.
Man, I mean, it's unbelievable. I love Brandon Graham, man. I love him. And I think he's got more in the tank. I know I said this in yesterday's show, but I really do believe that he's got more in the tank there. And we'll see what ends up happening. I don't think he wants to go out this way. I think he believes he can still dominate. And knowing the trajectory of this franchise and how we are in a position to compete every single year, you get another crack at this thing legitimately. Man. It's unbelievable. It really, really is. And I don't know exactly how they're going to be able to fill what Brandon Graham brought. There's a few areas they can go. Now, they already made a move. They brought in Charles Harris recently with Carolina, had 3 sacks in 9 games, started about 6 of those games. Decent resume, nothing that jumps off at you, but now's not really the time to be able to make those type of additions. Which goes back to how I felt at the deadline, and I was on an island by myself. I kept talking about how if Howie Roseman thought this team was a championship caliber team, in principle, you go out and get more. Because you never know what can happen. You can't allow anything to derail you. It's not just about adding talent because. That's part of it. But the other part is, if someone was to get injured, if someone was to miss serious time, you need to have that next level. You got to have that next wave. And I don't necessarily know if Charles Harris is going to step in and be what you could have added at the deadline. And quite frankly, I'd say probably not. I hope I'm wrong, though. But everyone said they're good as is. They don't need to improve. They don't have to sell any assets. They don't have to do X, Y, and Z. Well, that's what you do because of things like this. I'm just pointing that out. But we've had experience, just to put it in perspective, on exactly where you think Charles Harris can go from here. Shaq Leonard had a good resume. Robert Quinn had a good resume. Kevin Byard had a good resume. Sometimes it doesn't matter. And reality hits that there's a reason why Carolina didn't have him anymore before you claimed him. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe playing next to a Jalen Carter type who clearly puts a ton of stress on the other team's O-line, maybe that opens up the door. Maybe there's hunger. Maybe that's what happens. And I'm sorry for starting the show off so negative and sour. I love this football team. I love this football team. So I'm not really thrilled with the direction here. We went super sad to what are we doing, Howie, who brought in Saquon Barkley and brought in Jalen Carter at the draft. There was that video going around of Chicago at the time of the draft, picking up the phone, making the deal with Howie. Idiots. Just flat out idiots. Here's Jalen Carter putting it on a platter for Howie. It's ridiculous. So, yes, a lot of sadness early, anger. I shouldn't feel that way. I believe this team's going to the Super Bowl. But I'm telling you, sitting on your hands at the deadline was a weird move. And if I'm going to be open, I wanted to make a move just because at that particular time, I didn't love where the defensive ends were. And I didn't love where the lack of pass rush was heading. So the idea for me to be on the prowl was just because I wanted to add more to what was already here. But you would have lucked into some depth in case someone was to get hurt. And look, you got Jalix Hunt, you got Milton Williams, who in a pinch maybe could be utilized, Bryce Huff. And I'm saying Milton Williams as an edge rusher. Maybe you can get creative with it. Bryce Huff returning, he needs to show up whenever he gets off this whole injury issue with the wrist. Because now it's, you got paid a ton of money for a reason. You got a big-ass contract. We need you to show up. We need you to help contribute and make up for the 20-plus snaps that Brandon Graham got a game. They need to get a lot of production out of those 20-plus snaps. Think about what BG was doing. And here's my fear. If you give Nolan Smith more snaps, if you give Josh Sweat more snaps, do you lose some of their production due to the wear and tear? I don't know. It has to be from within and Charles Harris. I felt good prior to hitting record. But now that I'm sitting here sort of going through what your options are, you can go with Zach Bond being utilized differently than he is now. But do you really want to mess with the type of season he's having? He is playing outrageous. I wouldn't dare for a second ask him to be more of a threat as an edge rusher type. I like what him and Nakobe Dean has been doing. And the way that they've gotten to the quarterback by Vic Fangio and by the way that they run downhill, I want to keep that as is. And I would imagine they would too. It fits the philosophy that they use a lot of the times with their offensive line. Instead of sliding someone from the right side to the left side and then putting someone different in, and now you have two guys in two different positions instead of just one position that's weaker. I'd imagine they use that very similar mindset here with Zach Bond. But I don't even want to put that out there into the universe because it's so silly. But when you are desperate, and the Eagles definitely are, you got to figure this thing out. Look, losing Brandon Graham on the field, I know I'm not breaking news here, but it is a damn problem. Not just from a production level, but just what it means for him to be trash talking every single down. That played a role in the personality of the team. Now, they're going to have to do it differently. Nobody can replace that affection that Brandon Graham shows for the game. He is truly the spirit animal of that franchise when he's around the building. He matters that much, more than just sacks and dominating on the field right now. But every day in the film room, every day on the practice field, every day in the tunnel, every day on the sidelines, every day when he's barking at an offensive lineman talking shit. That is part of the staple on why this team and this defense played with that snarl that they do. Because he talks it, and then, by the way, he's exploding right by you every snap. So, yeah, it's just what he does. And now you need to somehow get somebody else to either generate that in different ways. No one can duplicate BG. That's why he's rare. That's why he's special. That's why he's very important and one of the greatest personalities, because you don't just do that. You don't just inspire the way he inspires. There's a reason why he's captain-like. But whether it's through play, whether it's through hard hitting, and as much as they're saying, you know, Brandon Graham will still be there and he will still be with his teammates, a lot of what I described when he's, you know, after making a play, jawing at somebody, and just what it means to be on the sidelines, getting dapped up by number 55 as you're sitting there waiting for your turn to get on the field. The defense as a group is sitting there with their coaches. They're talking. BG comes down the line and gives you daps you up and gives you some fire to go out there for the next drive. And because it's him, it hits different. It matters more. It speaks higher volumes. And whether he's on the sidelines, not on the sidelines, it matters when you have the pads on and everyone is out there as one.